What's going on? Hope everyone's all good and all cool and all chilling and all fine and all lovely and all blessed. Right, okay, so we're talking about Danny Swift Garcia, and we're gonna talk about if Danny Swift Garcia can become the next Floyd Mayweather Jr. Okay, now some people think it's ridiculous, first of all. Do I not? I'm gonna explain to you all in a second whether I think this is absolutely a ridiculous concept, and if there is any chance that Danny Swift can become the next Mayweather Jr. Now, I want to explain something, right? There are some people out there who do think Danny Garcia is the next Mayweather, but then, like, people are looking at the knockout of Morales, Amir Khan. They're looking at not Mauricio Herrera, what's his name? Rod Salka. They're looking at that fight and they're thinking, wow, Danny Garcia. But listen, because they're looking at the knockout and it's a spectacular knockout, no lie. Like, for someone to do that to Rod Salka is a bit like, wow, do you know what I mean? Like, even if it is Rod Salka, to do that to another fighter, the fashion that Danny Garcia did it in, he showed that this guy is like levels, and like he is at that. He's a big puncher basically. But then we regress into this. You know, the Rod Salka fight was a clear, unbelievably rubbish pick fight. I mean, they picked a guy from 135 pounds who is a no puncher, who has lost a few fights, who, do you know what I mean? Like, Rod Salka, come on, man. Like, I interviewed Rod Salka and he's, you know, he seemed cool and that, but Rod Salka, come on, you know? But, like, the point is, yeah, that Danny Garcia fought him, knocked him out, and people are looking at vines and looking at little clips and thinking, yeah, Danny Swift is a big dude, and, you know. But then you got the boxing fans, right, who are saying, hold on, I got stuff on my head from this jumper. Yeah, but then you got like boxing fans who are saying, look, Danny Garcia, you cherry picker. You go into Danny Garcia's Instagram and you see cherries all over Danny Swift Garcia's Instagram. But like, here's my thing, right? I think there are some people who are way overrating Garcia, and there's some people who are totally writing him off. And I think that the people putting all the cherries on his Instagram and dissing Danny Swift a lot, I think both you groups of people need to chill out. I mean, when you go back in the history of boxing and we look at like Ray Robinson, I mean, tell me that Ray Robinson didn't have a few like fights against a few nobodies here and there. But obviously that era was different because Ray Robinson fought everyone and anyone and fought all comers and fought so many times in a year, you know. Whereas Danny Garcia is only fighting 3 times, so like he could have picked someone a lot better than Rod Salka to fight that. I'm just gonna keep it Be Real Boxing, and you know, this is Be Real TV, and I'm gonna keep it real. So I've got to keep it real. And I just personally feel that, yeah, Danny Garcia, yeah, he cherry picked that fight. But I mean, apart from that fight, was there any other cherry picks? Here's the other thing: Mauricio Herrera was a cherry pick that went wrong. You know, they expected to walk through Mauricio Herrera. That's what they thought. You know, they thought that they're gonna take out Mauricio Herrera. I want to interview Herrera. Herrera really feels like he won the fight. Check out my interview with Mauricio Herrera. I've done a couple with him, and I'm interviewing Mauricio Herrera again soon, like to see what he's up against next and what he's doing next. But it goes back to think, can Danny, because they're trying to make Danny Swift Garcia into the next Floyd Mayweather Jr., right? Because he's undefeated. They're trying to promote the undefeated record, keep him undefeated, and they really want to promote him as his next kingpin of boxing. And you know, he's bought some followers on Twitter, just saying it's Be Real Boxing, Be Real TV. I've got to keep it real, not hating on Danny Garcia at all. I think Danny Garcia is a wicked fighter. Which brings me on to my next point. Danny Swift can bang really hard. I mean, his power is underrated. He can box. He's got a good amateur pedigree. He beat Amir Khan. He knocked Amir Khan out flush. He knocked him out, okay? You've got to give him credit for that. That was not a lucky punch. He timed it and he knocked him out. I think it was more to do with Amir Khan than it was to do with Danny Garcia. I felt Amir Khan knocked himself out in that fight rather than Danny Garcia knocking him out. I think that Amir Khan could have just beat him easy, and in that fight, it's not about rematch. It's not, Amir Khan could have beat him in that fight. You know, you can't always say that about certain fights. You know, where a certain fighter loses, you always say that. Or like when we look at like Bronner, like what could have Bronner done different against Maidana? He couldn't have done anything different. We look at let me think of a recent fight. We look at, I don't know, Maidana versus Mayweather, right? What could have Maidana done in the first fight more? He couldn't. That's all it was, you know, like. He couldn't have won that fight. There's no, you know, you play that fight back and you think, you know, that guy couldn't have done anything on that night. Maybe in a rematch he might be able to do something different, but like, you know, on that night, Amir Khan could have done a lot different, and he could have beaten Danny Garcia, and he proved that in the first 3 rounds. All he had to do was not throw that uppercut and them hooks with the hooker, not underestimate Danny Garcia, and he would have beaten Danny Garcia. But like Danny Swift, right, here's the thing with him now. He knocked out Amir Khan. He went and knocked out Morales in the rematch. Kendall Holt, Zab Super Judah, and I don't think Zab Judah gets enough credit. Beat Zab Judah, and he beat a Zab Judah that turned up that night. He beat Mauricio Herrera. I'll tell you straight, he beat Herrera. Herrera's a good fighter, close fight. I think that I don't think Herrera won that fight personally. You know, Herrera's my boy, but I think that like Danny Garcia won more rounds. Even though I feel like, you know, have you ever heard that saying where you won the battle but the war isn't over or whatever, right? I feel that Herrera won the I don't know which way, right? Forget it, right? But look, bottom line, I felt Danny Garcia edged more rounds, but the rounds that Herrera won, he won more convincingly, a lot more convincingly. I think he outpointed Danny Garcia. If you look at, if boxing was scored not on a round basis and it was just scored, okay, 12 rounds, right? Like go, let's not count like per round. Herrera won that fight, but that's not what boxing is. Boxing is scored on a round by round basis, and I gave just about edged that to Danny Garcia because I felt Danny Garcia won one or two more rounds in that fight, and that was it. Like just edged them rounds by a slight bit. Whereas the rounds that Herrera won, he won them by a clear wide margin. And you know what I mean, like Danny Garcia and Herrera, the rounds that Garcia won again, like they were very close. But then who else did he beat? I mean, he beat Lucas Matisse, okay, and I want to emphasize this. Matisse at that time was looking like the killer, the beast at 140, who was gonna walk through Danny Garcia. And I picked Danny Garcia to win that fight. I'm one of very few who picked Danny Garcia to win that fight. And you have to give Danny credit for that fight. You know, you've got to give him credit, and you have to give him credit for all his wins. You know, I don't like his dad too much because of the stuff that he says about Muslims, and you know, I'm a Muslim myself. I get offended by what he says. And I'm entitled to my judgment, and it just goes back to think, could Danny Swift Garcia be the next Mayweather? Well, first of all, stylistically he can't, because Mayweather Jr., right, he can deal with a bunch of styles, okay? I think the one style Mayweather struggles with is fast boxers, and I think this is what they're going to do with Danny Swift. They're going to choose fighters who they feel he can knock out, he can time. But I mean, there's a lot of boxers in the sport, and I mean, how many brawlers is he gonna face? I mean, if he faces a brawler, what if he gets knocked out? Or do you know what I mean? It's like it's difficult to match Danny Garcia because Mayweather Jr. is a master boxer against Hispanic, Mexican, Argentinians. That style of fighting, that come forward, that, do you know what I mean? That brawl, that rough, pa 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 pa. You know what I mean? That boom up over the top, them type of style, that style where it's a come forward fighter, is Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s. That's what he thrives against. He thrives against it. And Danny Garcia hasn't got a style that he thrives against. You know, he's got styles he'll do good against, but I mean, the style that will beat Danny Garcia is the style of, I say, an Amir Khan, a Mayweather Jr., a Manny Pacquiao. Who else, man? Boxer movers, okay? It just goes back to the boxer movers. I felt Zab Judah is an example of kind of a boxer move, and look what Judah did. And Judah's like a 140 smallish dude, right? Who's not really that pinnacle, is he? He's not the best, is Zab, especially when he fought Danny, but he still showed up in the fight and he did well. I think even Paulie Malignaggi would be a very difficult fight for Danny, because we know Paulie can take a punch, even though he got knocked out by Porter, and I know Paulie's retired now, right? But I mean, Danny Garcia versus Paulie would be like a more competitive fight than what people think. I think a person that beats Garcia, truthfully, at 147 is Devin Alexander. I think Timothy Bradley beats him. I feel Danny Garcia beats Robert Guerrero, though. I feel he beats Andre Berto. I think Danny Garcia could even potentially beat Marcus Maidana, depending how he looks at 147, because Maidana's a beast at 147. That'd be a very good fight. But point is, Danny Swift can get outpointed in a fight. We've seen that with Herrera. You know, Herrera showed us a glimpse, and Herrera isn't that A-level fighter. He's a very good fighter, but he's not A-level. Let's get it straight. And if you put Herrera in the ring with Alexander, Khan, Mayweather, Pacquiao, you know, it's not really going to be a very competitive fight. Let's be honest about it. It's BeReal Boxing, BeReal TV, and this is the truth. So, like, I really feel that Danny Garcia will lose when matched up against a fight that goes wrong, and they're going to try and cherry pick. It's not his fault. I don't think it's Danny Garcia's fault. Danny Garcia's willing to fight anyone, but he's leaving it in the hands of his advisors and promoters, and call that what you will, but it's not Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, even before the Herrera fight, even before the Rod Salka fight, he was saying in the Amir Khan fight, look, I'll fight anyone, just put him in front of me, I'll beat him. And he was saying that, you know, he goes, I don't pick my fights, I let Al Heyman do that, it's not my job, I'm the fighter, I fight. So, point is, Danny Swift Garcia, I don't think he could be the next Mayweather. I think he's another contender. I think he's a very, very good fighter. I think at 140 he can't be beat. Truthfully, I don't think he'd be beat at 140. Can't think of a fighter at 140 that beats him. I think if anyone's going to beat him, I think it's Bronner at 140. But I know people are gonna give me stick on that, but Bronner is rubbish, this and that. But Bronner has the style to beat Danny Garcia, you know. But I mean, Maidana couldn't knock Bronner out at 147. You know, Maidana couldn't knock him out at 147. What makes you guys think that Garcia is going to knock Bronner out at 140? If Bronner's, because Bronner he showed improvements to me in the Emmanuel Taylor fight. I think he's going to make improvements as he goes along, and I think Lamont Peterson and Adrian Bronner at 140 give Danny Garcia problems, but Danny Garcia's got that equalising punch. He's a very good boxer. He's been up against the better fighters, but I mean, stylistically, we're talking Lamont Peterson, Adrian Bronner. They are the guys to pull off the upsets. I don't see anyone else at 140. There's John Molina, who would put up a very good fight. I think Algieri, on the other hand, could very, very well beat Danny Garcia, but I think Danny Garcia knocks him out. I think that he'll just get hit with a counter punch and Danny Garcia knocks him out. I mean, if Ruslan Provodnikov caught him, I think Danny Garcia is better than Provodnikov. I think Garcia beats Provodnikov at 140. He's a top-ranked fighter, Al Heyman fighter, you know, all these issues. I can't be arsed with it anymore. But like, bottom line, I think Danny Garcia is a very good fighter. I think he's underrated. I think people need to stop dissing him so much. I think he can beat a bunch of fighters. I think he can lose against a bunch of fighters. He's not the next Mayweather Jr. Bottom line. I mean, the thing with Mayweather, yeah, he cherry picks his fights, but he will come out with the win against the cherry pick fights. Against the style that he faces, the Hispanic fighters, he's a counter puncher. Is Mayweather? He rolls and he punches, He's on the back foot. You know, he'll choose a fighter who's just a tad bit faster than boom, 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 and that guy, you know, fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see, and that's what Mayweather Jr. does. I mean, you guys don't understand this, but Mayweather Jr. has a lot of Muhammad Ali in him. He doesn't even I don't think he realizes himself. But like, who's Mayweather Senior's role model? It's Muhammad Ali, you know. And if we consider Mayweather Jr. to have instilled in him at least even 40% of Mayweather Senior's teachings from day one, then you've got at least about maybe 20 to 30% of Ali in him, you know, in terms of style. And it's like, Ali was a fighter, he in his prime, he used to make you miss, and boom. It's like, you look at Sonny Liston, moving back, boom, knockout, you know. But obviously Mayweather didn't have that power that Ali had. But, you know, the miss, make you miss, make you pay style, Mayweather got that, and that's what Ali had. But let me know what you think. Danny Garcia hasn't got that. I think Danny Garcia is a totally different style. I think Danny Garcia can get beat by good boxers. I think that they will try to cherry pick Danny Garcia's fights to an extent, and I don't think Danny Garcia will just get exposed and beat like people say. He's always going to put up a fight. He is a champion, a true champion, and I think he's a very good fighter. It's BeReal Boxing, BeReal TV. This is my opinion. Let me know what your opinion is. Make sure you leave your comments in the section below. Make sure you subscribe to BeReal TV straight on YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitter or Facebook or somewhere, go to YouTube, type in BeReal TV. You'll see it, BeReal TV. Click on the channel. You see loads of boxing. Click it. Subscribe to my channel. You'll see my face everywhere. Right? I Follow me on Twitter at sham_Ayub. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. And Facebook.com/BeRealOnline. Okay?